Okay, so as you know, we've been looking at our alumni site, past students who've been at the school previously and are now going to be interviewed by myself. So I'm really pleased to I'm really pleased to introduce you. Yeah, let's start again.
Deep breath.
Right, here we go. Hi, as you're aware, we've been working with our alumni site in order to do these interviews for the podcast. And today I'm really pleased to welcome Fernando Rutter as part of our past students. Fernando, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Not at all.
So yeah, as you mentioned, I joined the school year 7, all the way up until year 13. Great school. Had some really great times. Not that long ago when I left in 2019, and I've been asked to come back today to talk about my school life and after school life, probably before school life as well. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. So tell us, what do you remember about the school?
What do I remember about the school? So obviously I joined in year 7. I joined from St Werburgh's, where a lot of kids joined from.
Yeah, great school.
Oh, it always was a great school for me, Catholic High. Always got along with the teachers. I was just saying before, I was never a naughty kid. I always had a bit of a cheeky side to me.
You got a cheeky face. I say that. You got a little bit of a cheeky face.
And I think that's what the problem was. Like up until about year 9, and then it came to about year 9, 10, and I realised I had a brain. I should start using it. And I did. I started using it. So I was never an academic child at all. I was always streetwise, street smart. I come from an Italian background, so we're always taught to have your wits about you and everything. So always be well behaved and polite, show respect and everything like that. And I always have done since a kid. I was never naughty, but like I say, year 9 and 10, I sort of discovered, I need to start doing something here.
Yeah, GCSE. Yeah.
GCSE's coming up. I need to start doing something here. Otherwise, I'm going to end up, no offence, but I'm going to end up working at McDonald's or something like that. Not for me.
So what have you done since leaving school?
Well, since leaving school, I went to sixth form here. Got the best grades of my life I thought I could ever get.
Brilliant.
And I set up my own business with my dad when I was 16.
Fantastic.
Called Property Pac. So I was still in sixth form whilst I was doing it.
Wow.
And the plan was, and I was never really hands-on because I was obviously doing my A-levels, but the plan was to leave school and go ahead with all of that. And got my grades. And then I thought to myself, I need a bit of, outhouse experience in the real working world other than, having your own business at that age. So I ended up working in the block management sector in Manchester for a company called Oakland Residential. And I ended up getting all my qualifications with that. That was an apprenticeship, that was. Got all my qualifications in property management whilst also running a full-time business.
Wow.
From the age of 18, 19. So it was a lot of hours, but I would have, I'm glad that I put the hours in then, because I didn't want to put them in when I was 40, coming up to 50 years of age. I want to do it all whilst I'm young.
Plan to retire early then,
early. Well, hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, no. I don't think I'll ever retire, to be honest with you. But that's what I did. I went to Manchester, got my qualifications. When I was qualified, I ended up leaving. I've done this for 3 or 4 years full time now.
Right. So it was interesting. Fernando came into school, and a lot of the teachers remember you. You just started speaking to the English teachers there. Tell us now, who was your favourite?
My favourite teacher, right? No bias or anything like that. They were all great teachers. I always got along well with the teachers. Could always had a laugh with them, and they never spoke to me like a child.
And that is one of our strengths. Yeah.
They never spoke to me like a child, and you can see now I get along with them all.
Yeah.
But my favourite teacher, she was like my mum in the school, Mrs Holmes in maths.
Right.
So I was explaining before. In year 9, I must have got moved to a maths set. I actually got moved down the set. I was gutted, I was gutted. Even though, like I said, I never messed around, but I still was gutted. But it was the best thing that could have happened to me at that age. She never demanded me to do work at all, Mrs Holmes. She wouldn't do it with any kid, but
you want to do well for her.
You want to do well for her. She's got that aura about her where she demands respect because she shows you respect.
Yeah.
And she was the first teacher that properly believed in me. Might sound a bit of a cliche, but
No,
she did.
I think that's really important.
She did. She was absolutely ace, and she turned it around for me.
Yeah.
I could have gone one way or the other. I could have, just spent the rest of my school life just being silly and not getting any GCSEs, and God knows what I would have done. I don't know.
We hear that a lot about Mrs. Holmes. She's incredibly popular.
She's an incredible lady, to be fair, and I still keep in touch with her to this day.
Yeah.
No, she's absolutely ace, and she didn't, like you say, she didn't force me to turn it around or anything. Something just clicked when I was in her lessons. She gave a lot of life experience as well.
That's great. And particularly with maths.
Yes.
Because it's one of those subjects that people can stumble on and choose not to go back to.
Well, when you get into the working life, you realise how transferable them skills are.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, GCSEs are important, but the thing that was more important for me when I look back on is the fundamentals that you learn whilst you're doing your GCSEs, the self-discipline, the respect that you show for teachers, and I still carry that, to this day.
And that's so important. It's so right that you're saying it at this point, because obviously in a few weeks, our year 11s, our year 13s, they start the biggest exams. And you're so right. It's about having self-discipline is key. Because you can go up to your room and go, oh, I am revising. And you put together a revision timetable, which is all very pretty, but you actually do no revision.
Yeah. I mean, I've only discovered it's like, whilst I'm in the working environment as I've got older, I'm very OCD. And I always have been since a kid, and I've never realised it. I'm very particular about, I've just got an obsession with like being successful.
Yeah. It's no bad thing.
It's not, but sometimes it can be your worst enemy as well.
It can be. If you put too much pressure on yourself.
And I do. That's unfortunately, that's one of my downfalls, put too much pressure on myself. But I wouldn't be where I am today without it. Now, during my GCSEs, like I put together like the biggest list of revision timetables and everything that you could think of. Like it was great, to be honest. Looking back at it, like I was chuffed with how I did it.
Yeah.
Because year 7, year 8, year 9, I would never have even dreamed of doing it. And again, I've took all these fundamental values into my working life. Like I still do my same timetables now.
Yeah.
That I was doing when I was in my GCSEs, like time management and everything like that.
But if it's worked for you once, it's a success.
It showed me that's why my GCSEs was so key. It was the first time I ever experienced that hard work pays off, because it genuinely does. Yeah. I mean, I am not the smart. I'm no way at all, shape or form smart, but I will outwork anyone because I know that I've got a better work ethic. It's just the way I've been brought up.
And that is great. It's, you get out of this life what you put in.
Absolutely.
And that's hopefully a message that the school sends out to everyone, really, that this is what we believe in. So thinking about that and thinking about our students as they start the GCSEs and the A-levels, if you could go back, what advice would you give a 14-year-old Fernando? What advice would you give?
14-year-old Fernando. Again, a cliche, but it is work hard. I mean, it's a very vague term, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into hard work. The self-discipline, the time management, showing respect to your teachers goes a long way. A long, long way. Being kind to others goes a long, long way, because you never know who you're going to meet in the future.
Yeah.
14-year-old me wouldn't listen to a word of what I'm saying now. Honestly. But looking back, I wish I would have, because it makes a lot of sense. It does. The self-discipline and motivation, self-belief, believing in yourself. Like, I just thought to myself, really, even though I put a lot of pressure on myself, I had nothing to lose when it came to it. So I thought, I'm going to try my best.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? I've tried my best. If it doesn't succeed this time, it will succeed another time. And in working life, in real life, you'll realise that, like, I cannot even tell you the amount of failures that I've had when it comes to business. I've had to close down 2 businesses already at the age of like 18, 19.
But it's a learning process.
It's nothing major.
No.
I was very unlucky, to be honest, because it was like COVID when it first happened. So it was out of my remit, really, what I could do, out of my control. But don't be scared of what other people think of you, because when it comes to it can be quite a, I don't know, there's a bit of a stigma around revising, really, where if you revise, you're seen as a nerd or a geek or something like that. Probably would have thought the same in about year 7 or 8, but I worked my backside off in year 11 for it.
And it
I
reaps
always-
the rewards.
I
doesn't
always
it?
used to get a bit of stick off my mates, like,
Yeah.
but it paid off in the end.
But
And
that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, look at you now, and you think, what does the future hold for you? Because you're young enough to be here when we've got another 50 years. So you might be
Oh,
here
yeah.
as sort of like celebrating 100 years of the Catholic high school, and they'll invite you back.
Hopefully, yeah.
So
yeah.
what do you think? What's your ambition? What do you want to do?
Oof. Taking every day as it comes, to be honest with you.
Right?
But,
Well, season every day. That's,
yeah, absolutely. But no, in years to come, I've always been, ever since a young lad, I've always done coaching, football coaching from
Right.
I've worked from the age of 11,
Mhm.
doing football coaching in soccer schools. So longer term for me would to be a teacher in
Mhm.
property.
Right.
That's what I want to do. I want to teach what I've
you've
learned along the way in business and property.
Mhm.
Ideally, in an ideal world, I'd love to make housing, property tax, business a mandatory subject in schools. Even
Right.
when you're in primary school, I want to be the first person to actually do that.
Yeah. Skills for life.
No, it is because we don't get taught any of that, unfortunately, and it does hit you in the face
Yeah.
in real life. It does. You know, we start paying tax and how to manage expenses.
Yeah,
And
and particularly given
VAT.
the crisis of living at the
Exactly,
moment.
you've seen it firsthand now.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be the first person to do that, but along the way, I want to be a multi-millionaire.
Right.
Well, simple as that. I want to be
We're
a
always
multi-millionaire.
looking for a swimming pool and
Well, who knows? Who knows? But
a new wing.
I want to make Property Pac the go-to business in the Chester and Cheshire area for the time being. Who knows if we'll expand to other areas. Also the North Wales areas, Wirral areas as well. I want to make it the go-to property company for every property service. You'll know when you see a house, you think it's Property Pac house that they've done that. I want to be the most well-known. I don't want to be the biggest business in the world by any stretch. I want to be the best.
Yeah.
I've always had an obsession with being the best.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an ego thing, whether you need to have a bit of ego.
I don't think it does any harm at all.
But I've always wanted to be the best. So Property Pac will be the best property services company
Brilliant.
in 20, 30 years.
That's super. Fernando, thanks so much. And it's so great that someone from here has got such ambition, and hopefully that will foster around with all of our students.
I hope so.
So good luck.
Thank
and
you.
Don't forget we want a swimming pool.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.